Hey, hey, hey. Hi, you guys. Happy Monday. Thanks for joining me today. I'm running behind. I let the time get away from me today, so my apologies for not starting directly on time. My name is Andrea Wilson. I'm the broker and owner over at Brickhouse Realty. We're a full service real estate brokerage here in Northeast Ohio, which is the Cleveland area for those of you that don't know me. So today I'm talking about why it's important to create a business when you're thinking about purchasing real estate, and specifically real estate investing. So a lot of times people, they want to get started, they don't know where to start. So really, this is really the first place that you want to start. We want to start laying some of that groundwork as we prepare to become real estate investors. And one of those things is forming a business. You want to form a business because if you're using private money or hard money lender, they are going to require that you have your already established a business entity to hold your houses in. Now, there's different ways that you can structure and set up your business. You absolutely want to talk to an accountant and maybe your attorney for the proper setup that works best for you. I know for us, we use the formation of a LLC oftentimes. Here in Ohio, it's only a one-time fee. I know in some of the other states, it's a lot more expensive. You have to renew it every year. But in Ohio, we just pay the one-time fee. You can register that business. So this is kind of where you want to start. The lender is going to require that you have it in the business name, although they're going to look at your personal credit to decide if they want to work with you or give you that loan, but they're going to need the business entity. Because if they were to issue you a loan in your personal name, it's going to follow the general lending practices and rules and guidelines followed that falls under Dodd-Frank. And so the way around that is for them to use a business entity, which does not follow or go along or fall under those Dodd-Frank rules. So establishing that business entity. The earlier on that you can establish that entity, the better off you are, because there's a seasoning period with kind of like everything that you do. Your business, when you open that up today, there's a seasoning period of about 2 years. So we want, even if you plan on investing in real estate 6 months or 12 months down the line, this is something that you can start now by forming that entity and have it sitting there. It doesn't matter if it's producing income right now or not. It is still sitting there and going through that seasoning period while you're getting prepared for your first investment property. And you want to have it already in order so that when an opportunity or property presents itself that you want to move forward on, you're not scrambling of trying to figure it out and getting these things all set up. So people always think about jumping in at step number one and not realizing that there is actually that you really start at ground zero. You're starting it from zero, and zero is laying some of that foundation as you prepare to become a real estate investor. So in addition to that, the reason you want to have that business entity, because eventually we want to start building some business credit for ourselves. Building that business credit will open up other lines of income. Using hard money is great, but it can also get to be expensive. So how do we cut out the middleman or reduce the expenses? We can start building business credit and using some other forms to kind of either offset that or in conjunction with your hard money lender or a private lender. If you can get I know like Lowe's has a card where it's 0% interest for 6 months. And so that might just be enough time that you need to purchase the materials for the project that you're working on, getting that project either sold or rented and back cash flowing so that you can pay off the credit card debt. The cool thing about having it as a business and under a business credit profile is that it does not affect you and your personal credit. Unlike your personal credit, you don't have to worry about the utilization being too high. On our personal credit, we're looking at about a 30% of utilization of like that magic number where the credit bureaus like to see it. So you don't have to worry about any of that. So our goal is to create the business entity and start setting it up with your tax ID numbers and bank account information. And then we want to start building business credit, but we want to do that earlier now versus waiting until later on. And then the other thing that you have to know or you should know about establishing or owning your properties under a business name is that it removes you from being personally liable. When you have it in a business structure, that if somebody comes onto your property and they slip and fall, then they're going to sue that or potentially sue the name of your entity and not you personally. It is important for me to note that this is where doing proper accounting of your property is going to be important and not crisscrossing and commingling funds. Meaning, in order for it to truly be a standalone business under that business entity, you don't want to make personal purchases using your business bank account, business debit card, or anything like that. You want to make sure that you keep those two separate. It's okay for you to pay yourself like an employee, cut yourself a paycheck or something through there, but you do not want to commingle the funds. Use your personal account to make personal expenses and use your business account to make those business expenses on there as well. So, like I was saying, having it in a business entity, it removes the liability off of you as an individual person. And so they would actually go after that company. Now, brings me to the next thing of where you may want to consider opening more than one entity. The reason being is, say you have a property in there that maybe you're just going to hold on to it. It's going to be a rental property for yourself. And so you created the entity. Now that entity is holding 123 Main Street. 123 Main Street has a value of $150,000 in there, right? But now you decide you want to purchase another property, and purchasing another property that could potentially have another value of $150,000. So in this entity, we're saying that the value now is about $300,000. So say someone comes to your property at 123 Main Street, they slip and fall, right? And that happened at 123 Main Street, but you have 3, 4, 5 Main Street as well, right? Well, because they're suing you, they could go after all of the assets that falls under that entity. So you have 2 properties in there. They could then go after both of those properties. So we want to reduce risk and liability as much as possible. So when you have one property, I have clients that put a property in each in a separate LLC name. I have folks that do, 2 to 3 in an LLC name. Sometimes what helps factor that in is the value of that property. I gave the example of 150,000, but let's say you had a property that was only worth 50,000. And so you're like, well, I don't want to put it in separate entities for 50,000. Maybe your max is 3 properties at 50,000 into that one entity. So this is how you minimize the risk, by spreading those properties out into different entities. That way, if someone is suing you, they're not suing you personally. They're just suing the business and that one property where that incident may have happened at. And if you need to go bankrupt, right? So somebody sued you for that property or that incident that happened at the property. The judge awards them money, it goes in their favor, and the judge says you have to pay these folks, $200,000. You're like, oh my goodness, where am I? If you need to then go bankrupt in that company, not advising you to do that, but this is how we have to think about this. If you need to now go bankrupt in that company, you can do so, and it didn't impact your total portfolio. So if you owned a total of 10 properties, it would just kind of kill off that one little leg over there, but you still have all of your other properties flowing in these other entities. And so that individual can't necessarily come after you because that happens over there in that business. So I was initially talking about starting at least one LLC today, but you may want to consider opening up a couple of them, especially if you want to establish business credit, because sometimes, starting out as you're establishing that business credit, the bank is only going to give you so much for a certain period of time. And then from there, you may need to have built credit in another entity. So if in this LLC, the bank was willing to lend you 50,000 in that one, and then you had another one, another 50,000 over here, you can quickly get up to $100,000 or however much you need. So my goal and purpose today was just talk about the importance of having a LLC or a business entity to purchase your real estate, something you definitely want to consider. If you're serious about getting started investing in real estate, I would say this is where you need to start. I am going to be having a class. I'm going to be having a class where I'm going to walk you through establishing and setting up your business entity here in Ohio. If you're in another state, the process is going to be the same for the most part. The fees just may be a little bit different. So we're going to set up your business entity. We're going to establish that operating agreement. We're going to get your tax ID number and everything else that comes along with that to that next step to get you some business credit. So look forward to that. I will be posting about the class. It will be a Zoom class. So it's coming up shortly here. So check back, make sure you keep an eye out for that. Send me a DM. Okay, I see your questions. Good to see familiar face. Would you recommend having a holding company to hold the LLCs too? I do recommend that. That's really a little bit more advanced though. I talk to so many people just kind of starting out or who want to get started. And when we start talking about like establishing a holding company or an S Corp and all of these things, it gets to be so overwhelming that people don't end up doing anything. And so I like to teach from a place of let's just go, let's get started. And you don't need a holding company to really get started. We do want to position ourselves where we can get the help we need by using accountants and attorneys to kind of get things set up. But we can absolutely get the ball rolling, getting that LLC established at least for now. So it starts going through that seasoning period. And then as we start producing some money, because I always too like to lead with revenue, then we can kind of circle back, not too far. Can't forget about circle back and start structuring some things a little bit differently, but definitely a good question. So, but you guys, if you know someone that needs help, and it doesn't have to be for real estate, if you know someone that wants to just need some help creating their business entity, I'm going to be hosting a class, so stay tuned. If you're not already, make sure you follow me, like, comment, share with someone else that you know, and follow the page so you know when I'm posting. So question was, do you recommend going into a partnership when starting a LLC for real estate business? When you say partnership, are you just meaning like you and another friend get together? Or are you talking about the structure of the business? Are you saying a partnership like you and a friend, we get together, we pull together our resources to get going? I'll wait for your answer to that. If you're talking about like you and some friends kind of getting together, I'm definitely recommend it. Okay. Yep. You and your sister. I definitely recommend it. When early on, when my husband and I first got started, one of our first deals, we partnered with a person that I met on Craigslist of all places. I was still a licensed agent at that time. And I was going on Craigslist and I was trying to looking for business, sellers on there trying to list their properties for sale, had a conversation with them, and we ended up partnering on a deal with the guy from who lives he lives in Colorado. We partnered with the deal and it worked out really well. I think that you have to understand and know the person, even family. You have to understand and know the person you're working with, and do your goals align with each other, and really just treat it like a business. A lot of times it's not formal enough. So you just say, hey, you want to do this thing together? And then you kind of get going, but everyone had a different expectation, and then it doesn't work out the way you expected it. But I think that if you upfront treat it like a business and really establish what the goals are and what role each of you will play in this, then it can be successful in there. And sometimes that partnership is just needed in order for the both of you to really get going, because you're holding back, they're holding back, but working together can be that extra push or nudge to get going. If I move my primary residence, is there a way I can put it in the LLC without having to get a new commercial mortgage? I'm not 100% for sure when you have that mortgage on there, but just double check this. I'm pretty sure because you have your mortgage and you have your deed. So I'm pretty sure you can change the deed over into your business entity, but your mortgage is still going to be in that business. In your personal name. But I think you can, but that I'm not 100% for sure on. I'm sorry. You are welcome, Erica. I hope that helped, but definitely look at partnerships, and other people to partner with too would be anyone in construction. Contractors are good to partner with. A lot of times contractors want to get started investing in real estate. They have the skill set, but they don't have the money. So that could be a perfect marriage if you have the money, and then they have the skill set on there to be able to partner. Or partner with someone that has money, but you have the time to be able to oversee the different projects and everything. So, all right, guys, look out for the class that I'm going to be offering. I am going to do it in July before the month is over. I'm hoping to get that out between today and tomorrow. Just need to finalize my calendar. Outside of that, thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys back on here next week. Have a good day.